what did I say put on top of this? Pyramid.
Pyramids.
Pyramid slash cone, they'd be kind of the same category. I want to move.
I think you're reading a marker.
It doesn't matter though. You know, over here, it doesn't matter. I should be a little slight. Alright, here we go. Pyramid slash cones. Anytime you see pyramids slash cones, let's draw one here. Do a square pyramid. You should be getting at least decent at sketching out such things. I think we got recalibrated here. There we go. Pyramid slash cones. Anytime you see a pyramid slash cone sort of things, there are a couple things that should come directly to your mind. Anybody know? The first one you should know for sure.
1/3.
Exactly. When you talk about a pyramid or a cone, wow, wow, okay, you should think that their volumes are 1/3 of the normal shape there. And you should have this one down here. The formula for both of these is really the same. Volume equals area of the base times the height, all divided by 3. This letter B here means area of the base. And then the thing to think about is this, just like is true with anything there, children. In math, when we talk about base and height, what do they have to be? Lutz? I can't hear you. We still can't hear you. Yes, although the loaf of bread theory won't work with this necessarily because you won't. There's no place you can slice this that you'll get the same exact shape. So, how do I know what the base is for a pyramid and a cone? There's really only one option. For pyramids and cones, it's the only thing really that you'd set it on. It is the bottom. Okay. If you were to think about this as being a regular prism, it would look like this. Let me draw it. Let's do this. How about this for something special? See if you can see the optical illusion of this being inside this cone thing here. Yeah, that makes, oh, it's missing a line. Which one? This one. The base of these will be this, and the base of this will be this. And then what is my height? That's the question. The base of this is a circle, the base of this is a square. What is my height? We know that when you have bases and heights, they have to be, Evan? No, that's parallelograms. We're not those. Those are, you're taking trapezoid, that's one of these two. Calvin? Exactly, children. Take a look here, because here's the thought. I don't know, I don't have the height on either one of these. To get the height on either one of those, they would have to draw a line from the point up here and come straight down to the bottom in here. Like right about there. That would be the height. The height of this would be a line that goes straight from there. The height has to form a right angle with the base. This height would have to form a right angle with this base right here. And it would have to be given to you because unless it tells you, a lot of times they'll do this. They'll extend the point up here, they'll extend this here, and they'll give you this height right here. But that's that dashed line in the middle. Same thing with this. They'd extend that line there, they'd extend probably this line here, and they would give you the height. Okay? Because today what we're talking about is what's not the height of the shape, but we're talking about the slant height. And the dead giveaway as to what the slant height is, Ryan, is the word slant. Yeah. And the slant height is this height right here. You don't use the slant height ever for finding volume. Okay? This is the slant height. It's the height of the slanted side. Same thing here. The slant height would be this. Look at all those neat little drawings there. That's the slant height. And what do you suppose, Jacob Kunzendorf, when you're asked for the slant height, Christian Sovereign, what's humorous about that? Alex Knopf, what, is there some sort of Bermuda Triangle going on here? Huh? When somebody talks about the slant height, what should come to mind automatically? What shape, maybe this will help you, if you look in the middle here, when you look in the middle here, you can draw it, sorry, wait, I gotta draw this first. Hold on, somebody's already drawn that little shape right there. When somebody says slant height to you, you should automatically think right triangle, which makes you automatically think. Yeah. Mrs. Stone.
I was just glad you thought there was a new camera, that's all.
I know what happened. It's been a good weekend.
Probably did during volleyball season.
Oh, that's right. That's
a whole different thing.
the Pythagorean theorem. If you are asked for the slant height or given the slant height, you need to find the height of the shape. You're going to make a right triangle out of something, and you're going to use the Pythagorean theorem either to figure out this length, or even maybe that length. Okay, it gets a little steep and or deep. So here, let me give you an example, a problem right out of the book. And here's where it's good for you to be able to sketch things here. We've got a cone that is 12 centimeters high and 10 centimeters wide. Here's our cone. What did I say it was? It was 10 centimeters wide. Make sure I get this right. It's 10 by 12. 10 here, 10 centimeters. And the height, they give it to us like this, is 12 centimeters. And I want to know the slant height, which is this distance from here to here. Question mark. That's my letter X. So what do you suppose you're going to do? You're going to find the right triangle that we're talking about here, which means this. Here it is. You're going to go straight down from here to this, straight down from here to the middle of the circle. Come out here, make this right triangle. How high is this right triangle? It gives you that as being 12. What's the distance from here to here? It's the radius of the circle. 5. And then here's your right triangle, and you're hoping that is a perfect triple. Yeah. So you look at your little sheet there, and you hope that there is a 5, 12 one, and then you're done because the slant height is going to be 13 centimeters. If it's not a triple, you're going to have to do it all out as a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Let's find one that's not, shall we? What's that? Huh? Yeah, here's one right here. Find the sketch height, or find the slant height of this. What does it say? Letter C is it? Find the sketch the right triangle. Oh, yeah, this one right out of the book looks like this. This is a 8 centimeter base, and then the book just tells you that the height is 8 centimeters. What is, by the way, I believe the book very frequently uses the letter S for the slant height. Letter S. What is slant height? So the first thing you're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is find your right triangle. I don't want that one. And that comes from right here. You're going to go straight down from this point. You're going to go from the middle out here. And then you're gonna connect those two. Here's my right triangle. And maybe it would be helpful if you drew that same right triangle over here. I don't know. Okay, what is the height of the shape? 8. What is it from here to here? Well, no, 8 is the whole thing. This triangle stops halfway, so it's only going to be 4, correct? Correct. And then you want to know what this is, question mark. Do we have a 4, 8 right triangle? Do we have, we could reduce these to 1 and 2. Is there a 1, 2 triangle? No, so you're going to have to go and do it like this. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. A and b are the two legs, not the hypotenuse. So 8 squared plus 4 squared is c squared. Wow. 64 plus 16 is c squared. 80 is c squared, so c equals square root of 80. Square root of 80. And unfortunately, if you wrote that down, I'd have to mark you wrong because you need to take the square root of 80 and make it as simplified as possible. What in the world is going on? And I know some of you from the test still struggle with this a little bit. It's the square root of 8 times the square root of 10. Square root of 8 is 3 square roots of 2. I'll kind of step there. 10 is 2 times 5. What do I get if I have 4 square roots of 2 and a square root of 5? 2 of the square roots cross off, give me a normal 2. Another 2 give me another normal 2. Square root of 5 doesn't cross off. So you end up with 4 square roots of 5. Which, Gary Ronning, if I gave you 4 times the square root of $5, about how much money is that? Why would 7 probably not be the best guess? You're not far off, but you could certainly be closer just thinking. Somebody? Savannah, why would 7, while 7's close, why should you be closer? Anybody? Gary thought about it a little longer. Kelvin?
Because, like, kind of like the square root of 4 would be 2, is would be 9 is 3. It's kind of in the middle there, so.
The square root of 5 has to be bigger than 2 because the square root of 4 is 2 and this is bigger than that. So at the very minimum, the square root of 4 is a little more than 2. So the smallest you should guess would be 8, because 2 times 4 is 8. The biggest you could possibly guess would be square root of 9, which is 3. You know what I'm saying? The square root of 5 falls between what 2 perfect squares? The square root of 4 and the square root of 9. Those are the 2 perfect squares. Oh, you might have been with my presentation. Make me feel bad. The square root of 5 has to fall between the square root of 4 and the square root of 9. The square root of 4 is 2 and the square root of 9 is 3. It's probably closer to 2 because 5 is closer than that to 4 than it is 9. So you know that it has to be a little bit more than 2. 2 times 4, it has to be at the smallest 8, but at the biggest, if it was 3, 3 times 4 would be 12. It has to fall somewhere in there, but probably closer to the 8 because it's closer to the square root of 4 than it is the square root of 4. Luce, did you get that? Let's just try that one more time. If I gave you 4 times the square root of 11, what would be the smallest you should guess and what would be the biggest you should guess as to what that answer would be? If I gave you 4 times the square root of $11, smallest it would be, the biggest it would be. Think about what the square root of 11 has to fall between. The square root of 11 has to be between what 2 integers? Think of the perfect squares. 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 2, 4, 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 4 is 16. The square root of 11 has to fall between what 2 perfect squares? The square root of 11 has to fall between what two perfect squares, Evan? Bigger than that. Huh? Square root of 9, which is 3, and the square root of the next one after 11 is 16, which is 4. 11 has to be between 3 and 4. It doesn't have a choice. Which one is it probably closer to? 11 is closer to 9 than it is 16, so you know your guess is going to be a little more than 3. So what's the smallest thing that I would guess 4 times the square root of 11 would be? If this was a 3, 3 times 4 would be 12. And the biggest it could possibly be would be 4 times 4, $16, but more likely it's closer to maybe $13 because it's a little bit bigger than that. Does that make sense? I'm going to give you one more. Your homework will be based on, we have to achieve at least a 80% success rate on this one. If I said 5 times the square root of $20, you give me the two that it has to fall between. The two whole number dollars that this would have to fall between. The low end, what's the low amount? And the high end, what's the largest amount it can be? I'll give you 30 seconds or less. By the way, 80% of, I'll let Nick do this too, give me close to 20. 80% of 20 is 1.6 people. Is that right? 16 people have to get this right. But I'll go down because it's only 4 people can miss this. We need an 80% success rate. Think of the perfect squares. 20 falls between. They're not hard. And then multiply those numbers by 5.
Oh, wait. You want us to do like the smallest numbers to be similar?
Well, we could write it out mathematically. Let's do this. X is the answer. This is a compound inequality. X has to be greater than, well, we could put equal to, even though we know it can't be equal to because it's not. So we're going to take away the equal to signs. You have to give me the low end number. X has to be greater than blank but less than blank. And we're not going to put equals in there because if they were the perfect squares, they would be equals. Just so you know. Then we're going to graph it on a line graph. How much money are you going to make if you make 5 times the square root of $20? I'm going to give you 30 seconds more, because this is not a difficult problem. The whole answer. Square root of 20 equals x.
Oh.
So your answer to this has to fall between this and this.
Oh, okay.
Between this and this. Some open circle here to some open circle there, colored in. This is an and inequality. It has to be greater than this and less than that. Wait, I need you to circle your answers on your paper so I know that you're not going to cheat after I do it. Circle your answers. Circle your answers. Wait, did you write the inequality up there? Now, let me tell you, people, some of you aren't catching on here. Whatever you figure the square root of 20 has to be multiplied by 5.
Yeah.
So there's no way your answer could be 4. Because you know square root of 20 has to be bigger than 1, so it's the very smallest. I mean, you can't think 5, you couldn't even get to that. So it's got to be that multiplied by 5. That's what we're talking about here. We got it. Write your answers down. So that one in that, you need to write it in that compound inequality form. The one on the bottom, yes. So the X in the middle, and 2 less than signs. X is in the middle, the 2 less than signs. Whatever your guess is has to go in these boxes. If you're saying this has got to be 8 and 9, you would put 8 and 9 there. X has to be between 8 and 9. X has to be greater than 8 or less than 9. That's what I'm looking for my answer to be.
Wait, what do you mean by multiply by 5?
What?
What do you mean multiply by 5?
I am saying there's no way your answer here could be 4, because whatever number you picture, whatever number the square root of 20 is between gets multiplied by 5. If the square root of 20 is 4, it's 4 times 5 and it's 20. This is, Christine, 5 times the square root of 20 means that you have 5 square roots of 20 added together. So if you think the smallest the square root of 20 could be would be 4, you've got 5 of those 4s, which would give you 20 here. Wow. Oh, is that a blank flash?
Oh,
They'll pull their guys.
All right.
I
I am so nervous. Put your pencils down. Do not touch your pencils. Hold your hands like this. Ryan, your answer was, well, no, X is greater than $20, but less than 25. Does anybody have something else? Grace has,
I had 20 is less than X.
no, X is greater than 20 and less than 30.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, we all got it.
Eli,
I got the same thing.
is this one?
Yes.
How many, raise your hand if you've got, let's look at this one, 20 and 30.
That's only 3 of us.
So that means you did terrible.
Raise your hand if you got 20 and 25.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Victory.
6, 7, 8.
So no matter what, the percentage.
Raise your hand if you got neither.
Christian.
Raise them up there, people.
Christian.
Alright, again, let's put them down here. Look at this. First thing you need to figure out is what the square root of 20 is close to. The square root of 20, by the way, you could have simplified the square root of 20. If you simplify the square root of 20, it is square root of 4 times the square root of 5, and the square root of 4 is 2. Okay, the problem with what you guys did is you overthought it a little bit. You know that the smallest, the square root of 5, we already talked about this, is close to what the square root of 4 is, right? And the square root of 4 is 2, so your first answer should be 4, and your second answer, kids, should be 5. I don't know where you came up with 6, because what you're doing is you're rounding a rounded thing. There's no way. The square root of 20, people, has to fall between the square root of 16 and the square root of 25. Those are the two perfect squares, which is 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Those people, I understand how you kind of messed that up.
We multiplied the 5 from the 5 to the square root of 20.
I know what you did, but the problem was, this becomes unsimplified when you did, you said that this has to be between what?
20 and 30.
Well, 2 times the square root of 5 has to fall between what two numbers?
No one won.
4 and 5, right? How would you put, boys and girls, when you put 4 and 5 in here, 4 times 5 is 20, 5 times 5 is 25, how'd you come up with 30 though?
No one won.
We won.
It
hurts.
Well, you still
Because the square root of 5 by itself is nuts. Because
Square root of 5 is gonna be 2 plus something.
Hey, so we got above 80.
So it should have been this, and then your numbers here go, what was it? 20 and 25. That's where it has to fall, not 30.
Wait, so Mr. Hunter achieves 80%?
No, it's more than 4 that
yeah, I know. We weren't the only ones who got it wrong.
No, don't feel bad.
I got it right.
My first answer was 36.
Dang it.
No.
Oh no. I got
Well, it's like.
Oh, no. Oh my
Let us on this paper. Let us do
People say 9, some people say 7. Oh, so.